What's up, everybody? Couch Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Overwatch video. And in this video, we gotta talk about 3 balance changes that is 100% needed for Overwatch 2. We recently found out that Overwatch 2 is releasing a lot sooner than expected, so let's talk about what Overwatch 2 needs to nail, in our opinion, to just freaking crush it and move the game in a much better direction and not fall into the same pitfalls that they did in Overwatch 1. But go to the GameLeap website if you want to dominate Overwatch and prepare yourself for Overwatch 2. We got in-depth advanced guides, tips and tricks, VOD reviews, everything you possibly need. So go check it out right now. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, while Overwatch has had some amazing times, I mean, truly amazing, just golden age times where everyone was playing the game, that the game was extremely fun and balanced and fresh, there have been an equal, if not more so, amount of times where the game was in a really poor direction. Terrible metas with just crazy broken things. Compositions like GOATs that just leave entire roles not seeing any play at all. We had quad DPS. I mean, there has been just a lot of crazy things for better or for worse in Overwatch. And there are some big core philosophy or core additions to the game that even the majority of the community has disagreed with. So let's talk about what are the balance changes that Overwatch 2 needs to nail perfectly and decide on in order to set the game up for success. Now, the first and most important thing, in my personal opinion, is less free value and more skill extracted value. What I would argue is that many abilities, or the majority of abilities, should have a skill floor and a skill ceiling that is not so close. We talk about this often with characters, how hard they are to play, how much you can improve with them if you like really master their skill set. But from a smaller point of view, you really have to think about the actual abilities themselves, and there are far too many abilities that just get you guaranteed value, and the amount of value that you get doesn't really scale with your skill. Let's give 2 separate examples. First off, let's think about a character like Ana and her sleep dart, right? The amount of value you could get on not just that ability, but the character as a whole is going to be very proportional to how consistent you are hitting those sleep darts on more and more difficult targets. Now, I think it's a really great and rewarding thing when the game rewards you for being able to get better and better at hitting these sleep darts. I mean, sleeping a freaking monkey that's primaling you can feel great, but sleeping a tracer that's about to one clip you can feel even better, and sleeping a nanoed Genji can feel freaking amazing. More pressure, more difficulty, and as you climb with your skill set in this ability, you also get rewarded by your increase in skill in said ability. But that's not the case with every single ability. There's a lot of abilities that are kind of just, mindless, passive heals and things like that. But I think to another level, there's some abilities like Immortality Field where the timing doesn't all really matter all that much. The way that you use the ability doesn't really matter all that much. Sure, there's ways to slightly optimize said ability, but it's never even close to the same level as something like that sleep dart. And there are a lot of abilities like this across the board, especially in the tank and support roles, where it's almost like the value that you're going to be getting from your abilities is not very skill intensive. There's not a lot of room for growth in said category. And as a whole, I think it's generally a really good idea that the majority of skills actually have a big difference between just using it at a base level and using it for maximum impact. Definitely let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Now, the next thing I think is a really big deal to iron out. One of the most important debates that has been happening throughout the majority of Overwatch is finding a happy medium with time to kill. In my personal opinion, and remember, this is my personal opinion, not everyone's going to agree, I think that things should die instantly far less, but still die nonetheless. Now that this was kind of like a little bit of a play on words and things like that, but really I think that there needs to be a dramatic restructure with how they are going to be approaching time to kill, or the average time to kill. I think the game of Overwatch really wants to find that happy medium where things die at a reasonable rate, but you're not just getting instantly deleted. Characters like Widowmaker in particular is the biggest offender, where a lot of times the balance is kind of being held back by skill level, but when you get to a certain rank or a certain skill level, the character can just feel absolutely oppressive, incredibly powerful in metas where Widowmaker is good, and it's really not fun for a lot of people to either be out of position and die instantly for a millisecond, or not even be out of position and get one-shotted with 0 time to react, 0 counterplay. I mean, that is definitely frustrating, but on the flip side, there are situations between Immortality Field and Brig Rally where it just feels like your damage is nothing. Your damage is just all trash damage, no matter what what you do, you can't kill anything. And that is the other side of the spectrum that I think really doesn't feel that great. And I think that the best metas that we've had in Overwatch in the past are metas where, from an individualistic point of view or an individualistic 1v1, you are not going to just insta-kill your enemy. It's going to have a little bit of counterplay. There's going to be a little bit of time to kill. But if you get that coordination, that is where you get those insta-kills. When you're doing those 3-4-man dives, but the only way to set those up is with that coordination. It's not just being done from one person, just insta-killing another. And you're also not having these giant GOATS attrition battles where it just feels like nothing ever dies and it's like an ultimate off and the game feels like a MOBA. I think finding that happy medium is the key, and it's very difficult, I'm not gonna lie, but I think it's incredibly important to do so. And I think that they should just err away from just stacking super amounts of HP no matter what, just huge amounts for long periods of time, extended fights with things like rallies, and they should start to move away from things that just one shot out of nowhere. And I think if they bring it somewhere in the middle, it's gonna be a lot better, where you have time to react, you have time to outplay, you're not dying instantly, but you shoot something a couple of times and it freaking dies. I think that is a good happy medium. Let me know if you agree in the comments down below. And then the last thing I think is incredibly important, and this is something that Siegel brought up a long time ago, and I've been thinking about this concept a while. I think it's very important, and it's the idea of less hard counters and more nuance in counters. The general idea of this is sometime in the past there have been a lot more nuance. Like before a lot of the new characters came out, there was a lot of nuance in matchups. So there would be characters that are soft counters, right? Winston is like a soft Genji counter, where if the Winston plays correctly, if the Winston waits for the Genji to go in, if the Winston follows the Genji around, gets close to him, gets close enough to where if the Genji ever dashes away, he can chase after him. That is how you can fight that matchup. But at the same time, if that monkey is a little bit too low, if he doesn't respect the Genji can double right click him in the head, dash him, and just do half his HP out of nowhere. That's a more nuanced counter. But a very non-nuanced counter is like the Sombra Ball matchup, where the ball can just do nearly nothing against the Sombra. Or the Brig Tracer matchup, where the Tracer just feels like an absolute dog to the Brig. It's almost like these characters were literally designed to fight other characters, or their abilities line up in a way where one character is like unstoppable unless they're being rivaled by another. And to me, that just seems like really kind of, one, lazy balancing, lazy character design, and two, it's incredibly frustrating when there are characters that literally just feel like rock, paper, scissors. I think in general, no character in the game should feel like that. There should not be this like just rapid fire, oh, you pick that, I'm gonna pick this. Oh, now you pick this, they're gonna swap to your counter, and you're gonna swap to their counter, and then you're just spending the entire freaking game swapping and swapping and swapping. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be counters. I 100% think that there should be counters in the game, just not counters to the extent where there is no feasible counterplay. Make it so that the counter just gives you an advantage, and that's fine, not something that can just be achieved when your enemy is just a far inferior player to you, but because they play this one character, they can just mindlessly shut you down for absolutely nothing. I think this is something that is very hard to do as well, but something that I think that Overwatch 2 needs to nail right for the future to make the game just feel a lot better for the majority of players. But definitely let me know what you think about all these things in the comments down below, and is there any specific thing that you think Overwatch 2 needs to nail from a balanced point of view? Let me know. Smash that like and subscribe so you don't miss out when we talk about the features that Overwatch 2 needs to absolutely include and change in the next video. But go to the GameLeap website for in-depth tips and tricks, VOD reviews, and all that to set yourself up for Overwatch 2. Thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.